Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be doing my most anticipated book releases for the month of August. I have 5 books that I'm really excited about, that sound really interesting, that I'm looking forward to coming out and reading at some point. I have some fantasy, some sci-fi, and some dark romance. August is going to be a really good month for new releases. So I'm going to go ahead and go through all of those with you, and I will definitely put timestamps down below to each individual book. But before we go ahead and get on into the books, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as well as the little bell icon, so you can be notified every time I post new content. I post new videos every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. The first book I'm going to be talking about is Crossed by Emily McIntyre. This is kind of an outlier book because it's not technically fantasy. There's no magical elements in her work, but I just started reading her books a couple of months ago. I read Hooked and Scarred and enjoyed them quite a bit, and have been looking forward to this book because it just sounds dark and delectable. This is the 5th book in her Never After series, and she bases these off of fairy tales and integrates fairy tale elements into the stories, even though they're not considered direct retellings. This book sounds like it is a retelling of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, but we're following a holy man named Father Cade, and he spends his time just doing good in Paris and tending to the needs of people in Paris and on the streets of Paris. But Father Cade is hiding something. He's dedicated his life to his religion, but he has what he describes as a sickness that brews underneath his skin, and his sickness literally feeds on the damned, feeds on evil, and feeds on people who commit evil. Father Cade ends up taking a position in a small town in Vermont, and he goes there because his sickness can feel that this place needs to be rid of a lot of evil. Then we follow a girl named Amaya, and Amaya spends most of her days caring for her younger brother, but at night she transforms into Esmeralda, a dancer who dances for greedy eyes and even greedier hands. But when Father Cade lays eyes on Esmeralda, at first he thinks that she needs to be rid of the evil ensnaring her, but as the two come together, obviously a dark romance blooms. So like I said, this definitely takes elements of The Hunchback of Notre Dame and weaves it into a different sort of story. And Crossed comes out on August 1st. Next we have Whalefall by Daniel Kraus. Whalefall is the scientifically accurate story of a scuba diver who gets swallowed by a sperm whale. He has only 1 hour to escape from the whale before his oxygen is completely depleted and he dies. Jay gets swallowed by the sperm whale by first getting ensnared in the tentacles of a squid, and then the sperm whale eats the squid. And so we're just following this 1 hour of being inside this whale as Jay is trying to figure out how to live. So when I first read the synopsis, I was like, that is like the most bizarre thing. And the fact that one of the first lines was a scientifically accurate description of being swallowed by a whale, I was like, I want to read all the science on how it's possible to survive inside the belly of a whale. And then that like circles back around to the story of Jonah in the whale in the Bible. And I just would love to hear how an author is able to create a story surrounding the possibility of this even happening and just make it real to the reader. Whalefall's release date is August 8th. Next we have Bring Me Your Midnight by Rachel Griffin. This is a YA fantasy, and I've never read anything by this author before, and I was lucky enough to receive an art copy of it. But in this book, we're following a main character named Tana, and Tana was, from her birth, fated to marry Landon, who is the son of the governor of this land, and Tana is a witch, and obviously her family is a witch, and they live on this island, and the marriage was supposed to secure an alliance between the witches and the mainlanders, who really have always seen the witches as a threat. Tana's coven of witches appeases those who see them as a threat by releasing their magic into the ocean every full moon, and one night Tana accidentally misses this ritual, and that is just something you do not do. The only person that Tana can turn to is Wolf, and Wolf is part of this other coven of witches, and instead of releasing their magic to appease people, he tells Tana that he's going to teach her how to use her forbidden magic, rather than letting it wither away. Contentions arise between the witches of this island, this dark magic coven that Wolf is a part of, and the mainlanders, and Tana's kind of trapped in between all of it as she has to choose who she's loyal to and what is the best for her future and her family. Bring Me Your Midnight is scheduled to be released on August 1st. Next, we have Foxglove by Adeline Grace. This is the sequel to Belladonna, which is a YA fantasy, which I just read and did a whole review for. In this book, we're still following Signa, and Signa has these magical abilities where she can see ghosts and interact with ghosts, as well as Death, who is a prominent character in the book. And in this book, we are following Signa as she's trying to figure out who murdered the Duke. Unfortunately, the Lord of Thorngrove, Signa's uncle, has been the one framed for murdering the Duke, even though he is innocent. And we have a new fantastical character that is a big part of this plot, and that is Fate. So we have the character of Death, and we have the character of Fate. Fate is determined to get in the way of this murder investigation because he is trying to get revenge on Death after Death took the life of the woman Fate loved years and years ago. So now we have Signa, who has the help of her cousin Blythe, and they are trying to figure out who murdered their Duke so that they can clear Elijah, Blythe's father, Signa's uncle's name. And then we also have this fantastical element woven into the story of Fate and Death and Fate's revenge plot on him. So it sounds like there's a lot going on in this installment, and I'm really interested to see how Adeline Grace kind of ties all of those different plot points together. In Belladonna, she did a really good job of making a murder mystery book with fantastical elements, and I'm sure she'll do the same in this second installment. Foxglove is released on August 22nd. And next we have Thorn Hedge by T. Kingfisher, and I've never heard of this author before or read any of her work until I came across this book, and it sounds like it has a lot of fairy tale-esque elements, and to be honest, I was a little bit unclear when reading the synopsis what this book is about. But I got the gist that we're following a character named Toadling, and she was stolen away by the fairies, taken to fairyland where she grew up, and when she's an adult, they say, hey, we'll return you to the human world under one condition: if you protect this child. That's the kind of the way I took the synopsis. And then we're also following a white knight centuries later who comes across this tower. I don't know if there's anyone in the tower. All the knight knows is that there's a curse in this area that needs to be broken, and Toadling is the one who will do everything in her power to uphold this curse. So I'm assuming it has something to do with the child that needed protecting. It was a little bit unclear to me. But this book is a novella. It's 128 pages, and you could read it in one sitting, and it piqued my interest because it's a new to me author, and she has some other books out, and obviously if I like this, then I'll have more books to explore. Thorn Hedge release date is August 15th. Okay, you guys, those are 5 book releases that I'm looking forward to in the month of August. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of these or if you are excited to read them, and I will see y'all in another video soon. Goodbye!